Good morning, guys. It's
Good
Judy.
morning or afternoon, whenever it is
Morning.
where you're listening to us.
Yeah, true. Judy and Dana. Here we are with Reading Between the Years. Hope everyone's
Welcome.
doing well. So,
We're
fall.
in smoggy Michigan, foggy, smoky Michigan today with all the Canadian wildfire smoke coming down. So we've
Jeez.
been kind of stuck in the house lately. Oh, the
Yes,
fun.
it's hazy. It's yellow. I saw on social media somebody posted, "Well, I just got done smoking 2 packs of Canadian wildfire today." It's clearing up a little bit. At least our house cooled off a little bit out
Yeah.
in the windows, but we just need rain.
Yeah. And hopefully maybe this afternoon. I mean, fair is next week around here, so we'll definitely have a big storm in the middle of fair as we always do. So
Oh yeah.
hopefully we'll get there. Well, why don't let's start with our mugs, Judy?
You first. Me? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go. This is my thankful mug.
Thankful. Oh, that's pretty.
One of my favorite colors. My favorite color is yellow, but I like the green. So, yep, that's what we're going with today. Just reminds me to be thankful. Thankful for Dana.
Thankful for Judy.
everything.
I think that's one of the things. I put little signs up in my workplace every day, like little quotes and little things to kind of be positive in our little area. And
Mhm.
most of them are about gratitude. You know, if you want to find happiness, find gratitude,
Yep.
start the day with a thankful heart, things like that. It's amazing. Just a little gratitude. I used to scoff at that all the time. Every day, write down 3 things that you're thankful for. But you know what? Even if you just think of one,
Yep.
when you walk out to your car, say thank you for another day. It's
Yep.
like it changes your whole perspective.
It
So
does.
not to
I
get
totally agree.
yeah, not to get too syrupy, but so mine today is, I don't know if you can see if it's backwards, it says Fiberfest 90. So my mother was a fiber artist, which means that she raised Angora goats, which give mohair. And towards the end, she had alpacas, she had sheep, she did a lot of things. And her thing that she would do when she was watching TV is she would spin. So she'd raise the animals, we'd shear them, and then she would do natural dyes. Back then, now there's all sorts of natural dyes. So back then, she was experimenting with natural dyes, and then she would make them into necklaces. She would make these beautiful fiber necklaces. I have a shawl that she made me and a bunch of sweaters that are too flippin' hot. You can never wear them because they're so warm. But she was a fiber artist and she wanted to help spread the word. That's how my mom was. She would make all the mistakes and then she would tell people how to avoid the mistakes. So
Oh, wow.
Fiberfest, if there's a big fiber festival in Michigan, there's one I think in Allegan County that started here in Barry County. My mom and her friends started Fiberfest in 90. It was before then. It had to have been before then because it had to have been in the 80s. And they would get together and they would have goat roasts. They'd roast a goat and they'd have all sorts of spinning and all sorts of different contests and fashion shows and things like that. She roast a goat. So this is one of the
Wow.
commemorative mugs. This is usually what I drink wine out of.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah, this is usually because that was mom. She always drank wine out of a mug. In
Out of
fact,
a
I think
mug.
we had wine in a mug at her memorial service
Yeah.
because that
Aw.
was
Yeah, it
her
would keep it
jam.
cool.
So, huh?
It would keep it nice and cool.
Yeah, it was just perfect. So this is my mug for today. And actually, my husband's going to hand me this is somebody dropped this by my front door this week. It's a Fiberfest staff shirt
Aw.
from when was this one? 96. So this was something that
Wow.
they did. They started at the little old where the Kmart went into place here in Hastings. Used to be our old fairgrounds, and it was in this mud pit. It was terrible. And then they built an expo center out towards more towards Middleville. So she started at Hastings Fairgrounds. She went out to the expo center and eventually took it down to Kalamazoo because we didn't have enough hotels or anything for people, and we were getting thousands, tens of thousands of people. So
Amazing.
before she died, they sold it to a group in Ohio. So if you see some fiber arts or something, it may have started off here in little old Freeport, Michigan with my mom.
Oh,
So
wow. What a
yeah,
great story.
so she was
I had no idea.
she was a goat lady. Yeah, she wrote a
She's
book,
the
had a
roasted goat
magazine.
lady.
She was the roasted goat lady.
That'd be
So
a good
anyway,
name for a restaurant, the roasted
yeah,
goat.
the roasted goat. Ugh. But so
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that she made all the mistakes and then told people how to avoid them, which is
mm.
an excellent segue into what we're talking about today, because we're talking about parenthood. we're talking about discipline a little bit, us making the mistakes or the way that we disciplined our kids, and compared to the way they discipline their kids. And Dana and I were talking earlier about um, even getting involved in the adult child relationship with their siblings, and whether we're supposed to intervene or not intervene, and what do we do when one of them or more than one of them asks to intervene between their siblings,
Mm.
which sometimes happens, and other times it's like, no, mom, stay away. Don't get involved. You're meddling, mom. Kind of thing. But yeah, we were talking about that, making the mistakes and trying to tell us, or not us, but telling our kids what to avoid. Don't
Mm.
do this when you did, because this is what I did, and this is what happened to you, kind of thing. I don't
Oh,
know.
and I think that it's another one of those things that we've talked about from the beginning. It's like it how we did it probably how about that? Probably stemmed from how we were disciplined and how we were felt. And it's either the I'm never going to do that, or
Oh yeah.
that's not who I'm going to be, or we emulate exactly what our parents did. And I think now that I think about it in my world was very different because I had boys. I'm just going to lay that out there. Parents of boys, you understand it's very different than parents of girls. I was not meant to have girls, so I had two boys. They were 2.5 years apart. And I think I was probably pretty similar to how I was disciplined. There wasn't, we,
Uh-oh. Is your hubby making signs? If you're just listening to us, Dana is having a laugh fest at the moment.
anyway,
That's awesome.
I don't remember a lot of discipline, but I also don't remember needing a bunch of discipline. I don't know if that's me being silly and thinking that I was the best, but it wasn't tolerated, so we just didn't really, need it. It was very hands off, we things were discussed if they were needed to be discussed, but beyond that, it was like, okay, just let's keep doing what we're doing. We're on the right track. And I think that's how I was with my boys. It was more, just if something dangerous was happening, of course you stop it. But other than that, I just told you earlier, I told my kids, especially when they were a little bit older, you guys are going to be together so much longer than I'm ever going to be in your life. So you guys got to figure this out.
Mhm.
And I remember being extremely relieved when they were finally old enough that I could let them fight. Figure it out.
Oh,
When they would
yeah.
be like, they'd be doing one of these, and it's just like, figure it out, man. Figure out your dynamic. Because
Yeah.
you guys have to establish that for yourselves. I can't, maybe that was wrong or it wasn't the best choice for them because their relationship is rockier now than ever. But it's not, yeah, I was definitely hands off, but I had the luxury of being hands off, I think, because there wasn't anything that
Because of
was so
boys.
terribly, yeah.
Yeah.
Boys are easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boys are easy.
I think boys are very easy. I remember my sister-in-law one time thinking, because she's got two girls and a boy, and their boy is the middle kid. And she thought just the opposite.
Yeah.
He was, I don't know why he was, when he was a kid, was needy, and well, I can't even really describe him. I'm not his mom, but my nephew, she thought the girls were easy. Maybe just they
Huh.
were more easygoing, and
Yeah.
because maybe Zach was the middle kid, maybe he, you know, was being tugged on both sides. I don't know, but she thought the opposite. She thought boys are hard, girls are easy,
Yeah.
and yeah, in our case, it's the opposite, just like you. Girls are harder, boys are easier.
Yeah. Were they always your girls? How far apart are they in age?
4 years.
4 years. And were they good friends until they weren't? Was there like a defining age or a defining thing that happened where they became less sisterly?
I don't think they were ever good friends.
Hmm.
I don't because we lost a child between the two of them. That's why there's 4 years apart, because we're the usual, 2.5, 3 years between kids.
Hmm.
They're four, and we wanted them closer together for that very reason. But I think by the time Abby was born, maybe Kate was like, oh great, here we go. Now I have to deal with a little sister.
Yeah.
And then our second one, Abby developed some genetic medical problems that we had to deal with. And that, I think, made the relationship worse because it was perceived that we were favoring her instead of, the oldest, because we needed to spend more time with her and she had medical problems. Um, so yeah, it just creates a completely different dynamic. But
Yeah.
I wanted to go back really quick. You were talking about like you thought like when you were a kid. Did you say
Yeah.
something about like you thought you were doing it right or you wanted to be the best or something? Is that what you said?
No, I don't remember having to be disciplined.
Yes, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it was. And I was kind of the same way because I had three older sisters, still do, and one younger brother. So I was the fourth girl. And I
Yeah.
remember one time my dad pulling me aside after a fight at the dining room table, with all of us sitting there about, who came in late and who's supposed to do this and who's supposed to do that. And I'm just sitting there like a tennis match watching my dad and my mom fight with my sisters. My
Yeah.
brother is sitting there like, I don't want to get involved, which is very much like our youngest, which is
Yeah.
our son. And I was kind of the same way, the two youngest kids. It's like, ooh,
Yep.
what they do now kind of thing. And after that, while my sisters are doing the dishes, my dad pulls me aside, and I'm not even sure if my siblings even know this. He pulled me aside and said, don't you ever do what they're doing. Don't you do.
Ooh.
You need to learn from them. Don't you do what they're doing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, Dad, I won't do it. I won't come in late. I won't go out with this particular boy. I won't do this. I won't do that. I'll do my homework. Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah.
So I was kind of the same way as you were. Like I
Yeah.
didn't really need to be disciplined until I got a little older. And I was probably 12 or 13 when this happened. When I was 17 or 18, I think I had a huge fight with my dad because my
Yeah.
sisters were gone and it was me and my brother that were left at home. Had a huge fight with my dad, which we very quickly resolved. But I I remember just sitting back and watching my sisters get in trouble,
Yeah.
stuff they were doing. And whether my dad had to remind me not to do that or not, I think I already knew. Yeah, I'm not going there. I'm not
Yeah.
going there. I'm not going there. I'm not going to do that. You
So
know,
it's kind of the luxury of being the second or third or fourth kid is that you get
yes,
to watch the mistake if you learn. Because we all know some people still have to, put their finger on the hot coal just to make sure you're telling me it's hot, but is it hot? That was
exactly.
that was my oldest for sure. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's interesting when you add the different sexes and then you add the birth order in it. Wow. There's a
yeah,
myriad of different ways that you can kind of present yourself within a family depending upon those things.
yeah. And
That's
when
crazy.
you don't have the same dynamic with your own children, and then medical problems or special circumstances come into play, you have nothing to really go by.
Yeah.
We're all flying by the seat of our pants when it comes to our kids being kids.
Yeah.
It's different. And Dana and I were talking about, luckily all our kids are different from each other. They're all very different. They have their own different personalities. And so taking that into account and what you hopefully learned as a child and how you were disciplined, how does that, eke into the way you discipline your kids?
Mhm.
And, we're adults, our kids are grown. And looking back, we can't change anything, but it also makes me wonder if that has a huge or maybe a little or some impact on how our kids discipline their kids, our grandkids. And both of our daughters, both of them have two boys apiece. We have four grand boys, and they're around the same age. They're all between the age of 4 and 9, and so I see both our daughters disciplining their kids, not very differently, but definitely different enough to notice. So does their history as a parent, marriage, divorce, or just lifestyle have anything to do with it? Yeah, that's a whole nother Pandora's box
Yeah.
that
Do
you
you
look at.
see your daughter that felt like she didn't get the attention same as her sister? Can you kind of pinpoint that as why she's making the parenting choices
Some
that
of
she's
it,
making? Yeah.
some of it, yeah, because I know that there were things. I mean, geez, how do I put this? I know that because we're all imperfect. Of course, there are things that she even said as a kid, like, I'm never going to treat my kids like you treat me, as a teenager. And then looking back at those things, because those are the things that tug at your heartstrings when you're a young parent. When your teenager says I hate you, or your 10-year-old says I hate you, and I'm never going to treat my kids like you treat me, blah blah blah. And now that they're parents, and I look at them and I go, well, aren't you doing the same thing? Or just, yeah, it's just so multifaceted. That's just my word of the year,
Yeah.
probably.
And
um
it's so for me, I get some sassy comments from time to time between my one son, especially about how I babied or how I give my youngest son a pass for everything, that I don't judge him as hardly as I judge, him.
oh,
And the
even
easiest,
now as adults they'll say.
yeah, yeah, you give him too much of a free pass, and then I just have to look, and I don't get involved. Like, you know what? You are both very different people. I'm the mother to both of you. We had different, Max left in high school. He was not in my house in high school. So I had a lot more years with Mason. I had a lot more time with him, when they were growing up, and more, driving to school every day and having those kind of relationships and things like that. So whatever, but I'm not getting in the middle of anything that's going on between you two, because it's important to me to have valid, realistic relationships with you as individuals,
Yeah,
because
totally agree.
I
Yep.
mean, I get the love is unconditional. I get that I love my kids equally, and I do, but there has to be a recognition about how unique each one of them is, and you have to be able to have independent relationships with your kids. I mean, I have two, it's easy, but I don't understand, and I would be exhausted just thinking about having so many more kids and having to do that with each child. It's easier now that they're grown-ups because they are fully formed
Adult.
human beings, and my what I say doesn't affect them other than make them angry at times. But, in the formative years, that would be exhausting, I think, trying to be able to be. And then once again, we all just did the best we could, right? We all just
Yes.
did the best we could.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. And for a child or even an adult child to recognize that in their parent, and that's what we all hope for. The we tease each other about, yeah, you're going to get your reckoning when you have kids, and yeah, this is going to happen to you. Just can't wait until this person, your son or daughter does this to you. We tease each other about that, like, paybacks or hell, that kind of thing. But does it happen? Yes, sometimes. Most of the time it
Yep.
does. But recognizing the fact that your parents did the best they could with what they had
Yeah.
is a whole different story.
Yeah.
It's tough and it's hard. Our daughters are your boys are very close, at least even logistically, they're in the same
Yeah.
town. Our
Yeah.
daughters are across the country. So it's very hard for them to com- compare parenting, compare stories. They don't get along well. They really haven't. And I tried to be a mediator when it comes to that? Yes and no. um Once they got into their 30s, I was at a point where it's like, I'm not going to save this relationship, because it's not going to I mean, would it make me feel better? Yeah, of course it would. But I can't do that. They're adults and they're going to do what they're going to do, because they're adults. I
Yeah.
can't save your relationship. And I like what you said about, you have to have a relationship with each one of your kids
Yeah.
separately, because not only is your relationship with them very different than the other one, but their relationship with you is very different.
Hmm.
Because even though we all, grew up in the same household, I grew up as a parent in this household and you grew up as a child in this household. My relationship and my parenting and my husband's parenting for each one of those kids is very different.
Yeah.
And even our relationship, like together, our marriage, our understanding between the two of us with each child is different.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. It's
Tough.
really
It's tough to
interesting.
watch your child do something that you kind of, cringe at with their kids.
Mm.
And then other things too, which is they do very well. And you tell them, you know, um, Liam's doing so well. I'm so proud of you, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it's taken very well, and sometimes it just falls on deaf ears.
Yeah.
Like, and I get a thank you from, you know, the parent, a child, or like, thanks for noticing, mom. And the other one is, well, of course I wasn't going to do things the way you treated me,
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of thought, or nothing.
Yeah.
So it's just very different.
Yeah. I finally got and I've said this before, where my granddaughter, I remember the age that she is now. So I remember what it feels like wholeheartedly to be her age. And then when I hear some of the things that are said to her, it makes me cringe a little bit because it's like, these are formative, there's a heart in there. Your job is to protect the heart. And then I finally got I'm not really interested in what you have to say to me about parenting. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, that's good because that really lets me off the hook.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I find that I just got this itchy trigger finger, man, listening to everything. Okay, what was that? What was said over here? Okay, how is she reacting? Okay, look at her reaction. She's not smiling anymore. Okay, but it's like it's the classic helicopter parenting, right? Or even lawnmower parenting. If you take away the opportunities for them to grow and build a coping system, number one, and the ability to be resilient and stay true and understand that you're still a good person, even if this conflict is going on or whatever it is, then you're robbing the child of that as well. So my son finally saying to me, you can just, I don't need to hear those. And it's like, good. And I kind of took that as an endorsement that he feels strong in his parenting, which is great, which makes me feel good. He feels he's good on a track. His words. So my oldest had a baby at 20, kind of a surprise, and had full custody of her from the time she was a year old. So we were really involved in her. But his thing, and that you can just hear this 20-year-old saying, my goal as a parent is to not raise an asshole, is what he said. It's like,
Yep.
okay. And that's what he's done. She's a functional, kind, wonderful child who doesn't throw tantrums, who doesn't do any of the things that you would expect a little 10-year-old girl to do. I'm not saying it's not coming as she gets older, and I'm not saying that it's going to be, a lifelong, foundation. I think the foundation is there, but she's still got to test those waters, right? She's still got to test those boundaries. But I thought, okay, he's good with what he's doing as a parent. He doesn't need my input. And it just such a relief came over me with that I could just trust that that's good. I'll still speak up if something really bad, if I really think that he's going to be, she's going to interpret something negatively.
Yeah.
But it was just great to say, okay, I'm out. So then I can focus on her and being granny, right? Because my
Right.
grandparents were magic
Mm.
and they got some free passes for some things, so it's like, all right, it's like she's going to Chicago this weekend. I want to slip her a $20 bill and have her go buy herself. You know what I mean? I want to
Yep.
do that stuff.
Yeah. Get some ice
Now
cream, get a treat, buy
I
something.
can back off and just be that way.
Yeah.
And the other thing I thought when you were saying that my kids are close proximity, which they live right around the corner from each other, is that can be very tricky because if I spend a lot of time with one son, which I do, but then I'm seeing with the other son is, I try not to worry about if that's gonna make anybody feel a certain kind of way. You know what I mean? That I'm
Yep.
favoring again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're
So
still
that's a
it's still in
dynamic
the
that
back of your head,
yep, that
even
I'm,
at these ages, ours and
yeah,
theirs.
yeah, that I'm trying to, but as a parent, I'm allowed to have relationships with both of them. They're both my kids. And I just keep telling him that he's setting himself up for some kind of a weird dynamic between his daughters to teach him the lesson that he should be learning now. You know what I mean? It's like you're both my kids. You can't tell me to favor one of you because we have different relationships. One's not favorable other the other. But you're setting yourself up for some karma, dude, that you just need to back up on.
Yeah. I think that's one of my mental goals is for my kids to recognize my relationship with each one of them as different,
Hmm.
and not only good, but dad too, but not only good, but it just has different aspects, completely different aspects to it because of their upbringing, because of we're different people as well as they being different, very different from each other, even though they have a lot of things in common
Yeah.
as siblings. they're still just extremely different from each
Yeah.
other. Different interests, different, even different health,
Yeah.
all different health things. Very different. All three of them are very different when it comes to their health. But I have a question for you. Um, when you said that your son said, I'm not interested in hearing about your parents' things or your parenting advice, did he say it that way? Because to me, that kind of like feels like it might sting by
Oh,
saying,
it did.
I'm not interested in what you're going to say,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. You can just keep that to yourself. Yeah. Oh, it was, but it also allowed me to check myself and see, was I overstepping? Was I, because I was, yeah. I mean, I don't know what goes on in their house. I know it's a loving home, and I'm just saying what I hear, I'm sure is if it's a flippant comment to her that I'm worried is going to make her feel a certain kind of way, it probably isn't what she hears all the time. You know what I mean? I trust
Right.
that they are
Not on
loving and wonderful and that their relationship is very different than what I think it or what I see. And I know that it's based on love and respect, and he truly does not want to raise an a-hole. That's not, so he's treating her well. He's treating her with realistic goals and
right,
expectations.
right.
So what I hear on
Love
a
and respect.
20-minute walk with them could not be or may not be a true representation of how he speaks to her normally.
Might
So,
be, but
but it was just, oh, it hurt. Yeah, I didn't like it, but
yeah,
it was a good check. I got check. Yeah, it was good.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because I think it's easy for us to be offended by not, people not listening to our experience
Mhm.
and giving loving advice in a practical way, in a nice way to some, or at least what we perceive as nice, to our kids, which we
Yeah.
want them to value.
Mhm.
Then they saying, "Yeah, I got this, mom. Don't worry about
Yeah.
it." It's almost feels like it's disrespectful, but I guess it just depends on
Yeah.
how it goes down.
And I don't have anything to go from because I didn't have my mom. My mom died a month and a half before Max was born.
Yeah,
So I never had my mom there to get parenting advice from her to deal with.
yeah.
So I
Oh,
have no idea what that would have, what that would have been like to be in that same role. So
yeah,
that might be
yeah.
part of what makes me go overboard for something. I don't know. But I feel, as we can only hope, I think about what I say. I try to be mindful of what I say. I try to be respectful. And I can only control how if it's received, that's on them, right?
Yeah, that's
And
true.
being able to give that up and that kind of expectation has been very freeing for me.
Good.
Absolutely. Yeah. But
That's
I can
awesome.
see how when I think back on one of our very first conversations about how there can become a rift and how, we were saying it's, disrespectful and everybody should be honored, everybody should be given grace. But as we talk more, I think every week I feel that I have a better understanding of how those rifts can form
Mhm.
and how I thought it was more on the adult child side, but I find myself pulling back as well and not having as involved of a relationship just to save me grief. You know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
because
the
it
tension.
has to change.
Save
It
yourself
has,
the tension.
yeah,
So,
because I
question about that then. Does does pulling back like that, does that affect the relationship between you and your oldest grandchild?
no,
No.
no,
Okay. So it stays the same. You're
yeah,
still there, you're still welcome. Yeah, I know you guys, I'm so jealous that you guys, take a walk every night. Like,
mm,
in that relationship is awesome. I'm
yeah,
jealous that you live so near your grandkids because
yeah,
two of mine are an hour away and the other two are 4 days away.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm very jealous of that.
No, I think it's another way of recognizing that those are different relationships. I mean, I can't imagine well, they have rules for us seeing her as well, too. It's like if you want to set up something for her to do, then you have to plan on being the person getting her there and picking her up, which
Right.
makes sense. I mean,
Right.
it's
Yeah, totally.
commonsensical stuff. But
Yeah.
I think once again, the key of everything that we've ever said on this podcast, you got to talk about it. You got to set your expectations and you got to stick to them.
Yep. The
And that I think is the key. We make it really clear what we're thinking, and they make it really clear whether that's yes or no, and
Mhm.
then it seems to be working.
Yeah.
But
But it needs to go both ways too. And
yeah,
sometimes it doesn't.
yeah.
So
But it's just interesting to think, I was kind of painting the adult kids as the bad guys in this whole thing, and it's like, no, I'm actually the one that's pulling away a
mhm.
little bit. And I never thought that would be me. But it sure has opened up so much peace and so much brain space, you
Really.
know? Yeah, not that constant hum of, should I be worried? What am I thinking about? What am I, what's going
Right.
on there? Yeah.
Yep.
It's been very nice to be able to kind of back up a little bit.
That's awesome.
Stay in my
That's
lane.
a lot of food for thought.
Yeah.
That's
You
awesome.
never know, maybe.
You never know.
You
Yeah.
never know.
Has a lot of aspects to that. I'll have to think about that. Thank
It's
you.
almost multifaceted, Judy.
Multifaceted.
Ding, 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 ding.
Man, I gotta stop saying that, I swear. Yeah. I said the H word earlier. They're probably gonna ban us now.
No, no. Well, you've heard me as well, so we'll see. I think we another good conversation. I appreciate
Yes.
your insights. You're always very thoughtful, and it's very interesting because I feel like we're very similar people, but everything is very different. You know what I mean? And it's interesting and always makes me grateful that I had boys and not girls. So
Oh,
there's
I'm
always
lucky
that.
you. Yeah, I will admit, sometimes our son is very needy, most of the time not, but they're all needy in a different way.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, I think everybody would agree that girls are tougher than boys,
Yeah.
especially the teenage years. It's just that way. Yeah.
And we both survived though.
We
Woohoo!
both survived. Yay. Well, thank you for joining us, you guys, for Reading Between the Years. We're hoping that all the yellow sky, is gone by the time we meet again, and it doesn't smell like a campfire in my house.
Yes.
So, yeah, and Dana's got the fair coming up. She's going to be really busy. So,
Yeah, we'll be back together though soon. Don't hesitate to comment. Let us know what you think. We'll get more videos up as soon as we can, and we look forward to sharing our conversations with you.
Awesome. Take care, you
Awesome.
guys. Bye, Dana.